You will think what I want you to think. Jeff Stone here with day 8 of the year 2016 at magicreview.com. We're looking at Destination by Russ Andrews. So this one kind of breaks my heart a little bit. I really like Russ Andrews and I like Peter Turner, but there's some problems. There's so many issues that you're going to have to go read that written review, because I'm not going to cover everything in this video. Let me quickly tell you what you're getting, and I'll give you the final verdict. For $45, you get the DVD, which we'll talk about what's on it in a minute. You get a 5-page PDF, and then you get these little, there's 4 of these. They're different ones, but and that's it. And these are they're like business cardish sized. So let's talk about just the physical product quality real quick. These are very well made. These will fit in your wallet, and with them in your wallet, you actually can do one of the tricks anytime, anywhere. The PDF is 5 pages, but it's really more like 3 pages of information. And it's an effect using the same principle or concept taught on the DVD. But then the DVD itself. So the ad copy says this: imagine being able to place a single playing card face down in front of a spectator. Have them merely think of a card and even change their mind. They never say anything, they just think of a card. They turn it over and it matches perfectly. Well, sound impossible? That's Destination. That's what the ad copy says. So the video trailer shows an effect where they think of a card and then they use that card to create a poker hand, and then you predict the poker hand that they're thinking of. So that's one effect, the poker hand. The second effect is the one I just read. And the third effect, which just says Destination is a principle that will allow you the ability to predict playing cards, which is the first thing I read to you, poker hands, second thing, and then blackjack hands, and even a thought of name ahead of time without the spectator ever saying aloud their thoughts. So the bottom line of this DVD is the instructions were just not done well enough. There are too many details left out. And if it weren't for Peter Turner sort of saving the day on this thing, this would have gotten a Grubble rating, a 2.5-star rating of Grubble. But let's talk a little bit about each piece. First, the effect where you predict the poker hand they're thinking of. That effect is taught well. It's covered. Everything that you need to know is covered on that on the DVD, and the principle is the same principle you're going to use in all the other effects, but the one where you predict the poker hand, which is the one, by the way, where you can just carry these in your wallet and you're good to go. You don't actually need a deck of cards. So the method relies on verbal subtlety and control, and its effect for the poker hand, it's 99.9999 in forever % accurate. The only time I mean, to be honest, I can't even think of when it wouldn't work, but just on that off chance that there's this 1 in a million spectator that's being a butt, but generally speaking, it works. And you saw the kind of reaction it got in the ad trailer. I think that's all legitimate there. The second thing, though, where he says you can do blackjack hands. So we're talking about 3 effects: blackjack hands, poker hands, and a single card. The blackjack hands, he doesn't teach that. He briefly glosses over it in just, literally a few seconds. And the problem is that, without me exposing the method here, there's pieces and details and a lot of unanswered questions I had after hearing him, quote, discuss the blackjack part of it. There's just too many unanswered questions. So many that I would never, ever perform the blackjack version because I'd be afraid to, because I don't know all the variables that I should understand to do that version of it. They just didn't cover it very well. Next, the original effect I read to you, imagine placing a single card on the table and they think of a card and even change their mind. That's a little misleading. They have to change their mind, okay? That's part of the method, okay? But the catch is, again, you're using this principle that you can use to predict the poker hand, but there's one thing he didn't cover, and I'm going to see if I can say this without exposing any method here. basically, yeah, it's so hard to say. What it comes down to, because of the missing information, that particular one where you place one card on the table, 2 out of 3 times you could be wrong. Now, you can, and you'll be close, but you'll be wrong. Now, he does briefly cover some psychological pointers on how to up the odds, but if you watched the ad copy or the ad video, and they show a guy who ended up thinking of a card, and then it was I think it was a Queen of Hearts or Queen of Diamonds or whatever on the table that Russ had predicted. That version, that performance, goes against the psychology that he talks about in the method. So he doesn't cover that. Other than he actually says, well, I took a bold guess. He actually says that is the method for that particular one you saw in the ad copy. To me, if you're going to say this in the ad copy, imagine being able to place a single playing card down in front of a spectator, have them merely think of a card and even change their mind. They never say anything. They just think of the card. They turn it over and it matches perfectly. If you're going to say that, the method better not be a bold guess. There better be more to it. Now, again, the method will get you down to where it's 1 out of 3 possible cards and you will have one of those 3 cards on the table. But because they left out so many details, you will be wrong 2 out of 3 times. You can lower those odds with some psychology, but to me, that's not a complete teaching. Now, here's the thing. Russ does this on a regular basis, and I'm assuming he has a way to deal with that. He just didn't teach it in the video. So, the single card one, it's just there's too much stuff missing. The blackjack one, there's too much stuff missing. The only one that's fully taught is the one where you reveal the poker hand. I'll let you decide if that's a good effect or not. So 2 out of the 3 effects that they're advertising are not fully taught. Then there's Peter Turner's bonus stuff. The one where he says have them think of a name. That's Peter Turner's. Peter Turner also has a method where you don't use any cards. You don't place a single card on the table. You have them think of a card completely, and you're not even using a deck of cards. It's completely no props, no prediction card, nothing. And you're able to divine the card. That method he teaches and covers all the details, and it's it's the same thing where I'd say it's 99.99999% accurate. Sorry, I'm in a rush here because I'm about to go watch The Matrix Part 2 with my son, and so I've been promising him all day we get to it, and I'm running late here. So I'll slow down a little bit for you guys. So the third effect, which is on the PDF, is a very clever subtlety and a very clever concept that it uses a deck of cards, but it's a borrowed deck, it's a shuffled deck, and you don't even need to touch the deck. The only reason you would is because you're going to fan the cards out on the table, face up, just so the spectator can look at them and see how shuffled they are. But if the spectator can fan, then you can completely do this hands off. So they fan them out, they look at them, they see they're shuffled, they close them up, they're thinking of a card, and then they are told now to look through the cards and see the card they're thinking of and focus on it and focus their attention on it. And then you just say, you know what, close the deck up, put the deck away, and then at that moment you can reveal what the card is. Again, borrowed, shuffled deck. That's the concept. It's one little extra piece that's added to the basic concept of this DVD. That's very clever. The catch is they left out some details, and there's a scenario that can happen that will make that method not work. That they didn't even address it. They didn't even bring it up. They didn't talk about it, and so another minor issue there. So you're sort of getting 6 effects. They're really advertising 3 or maybe 4 of them. The 3 main ones they're advertising is predict a poker hand, predict a blackjack hand, or predict a single card by placing one on the table. The single card, blackjack, not enough details to do. The poker hand, totally cool. If you want just that effect, then great. Then you can get this. The other 3 effects they're talking about, which are sort of the bonus effects, is Peter Turner's effect called Getting to Know You, which we'll talk about that in a second. And then Peter Turner's version where you don't use the deck at all and you're able to name the card, again, 99.99% of the time. Those 2 are taught well. those two are done very well, and they cover all the details you need. The third one is the one that's on the PDF, which again, there's some missing details there, but most of the information's there. And I would say that particular one, due to the missing information, you're still going to have like a 95% success rate on that one. So let's talk about Peter Turner's one where the spectator thinks of a name. This is actually an effect that uses a deck of cards, and it's a thing where you can reveal the name, you can reveal the playing card and or a thought of name. And again, it was taught very well. The only thing that was weird about that is they kept referring to the performance, like in the performance, this happened or whatever, but they never showed a performance. There was no performance at all. So I'm not sure what that was about. And so it just felt like there was, much like this review video right now is being rushed, it felt like this was sort of rushed to production. Like they didn't really, and I'm mostly speaking about Russ Andrews here, like he didn't really script out or plan for what he was going to teach on the video. And it was more like, well, I do this all the time so I can just casually talk about it, which was the setting. It was Peter Turner and Russ Andrews just casually talking about this. That being the case, Peter Turner kind of dominated the show, if you will, and it felt more like a Peter Turner video than it did a Russ Andrews video. And that turns out to be a good thing, because if this were strictly the stuff that Russ Andrews covered, this would have been a grubble easily. I hate to toy with it, but maybe even a rubble. It was there was just too much stuff missing. But I know it would have been a grubble because there are still gems in there. But because Peter Turner had added these bonus things that aren't even advertised, particularly the one with no deck. I guess the name thing is advertised here. But the one with no deck, that's not even advertised, where it's very clever and that you literally don't need any prop. You can, two naked people in a room, you can do this. You can read the guy's mind of what card they're thinking. Don't ever do it that way. So because of that and all the subtleties that Peter Turner has added to Russ Andrews' basic concept, in fact, Peter Turner had so many clever subtleties that he actually live on film on this DVD fooled Russ Andrews multiple times with his variations and subtleties of this principle. And his versions were ones where he's literally taking cards out of the deck and putting them on the table, and Russ is just naming cards and they're matching what Peter Turner did. And you might think, oh, that sounds like they just stooged that, but they didn't. And you'll see that when you watch the video, that there's a lot of psychology going on in there. But those were purely psychological, whereas Russ Andrews were more verbal control and direction. And I would say Peter Turner's was also some verbal direction, but there was way more psychology involved, way more. And so sometimes you just have to have the right personality to pull those kind of things off. And the other thing, too, was he was kind of using psychology on a magician. Peter was using psychology on Russ, the magician. And so he talked a lot about how you would use that on a magician, but they didn't talk a lot about how you would apply that to a layperson, because they have a different way of thinking about things. So anyway, when all said and done, there's a lot of missing information on here. For $45 to get a DVD that felt like they didn't really take the time to prepare in advance, and so much missing information. It would have been 2.5 stars with a grubble status, but I decided to err slightly on the side of there's still a lot of good value in here. So we got 3 stars, stone status of gem, with the smallest G I've ever given out on a gem. So that's the final verdict. One quick thing before we move on to the most important part of the video, the random iTunes song of the moment, is a quick update. The good news is, on my review site, magicreviewed.com, I've got a tally on the front page that tells you the average star rating of the products. And forever, months and months and months, it stayed at 3.72 average star rating. It just recently bumped up to 3.73. For a while, I just thought my calculation was broken on my code, but So it is going up. So that's the good news. There's a lot of good new stuff coming out. This might take it down again. I don't know, because it is going to be a 3-star. And lastly, just a reminder, the Limerick contest. If you want a free copy of Unbelievalope, head over to magicreview.com and look at the Unbelievalope review, or you can do it right here on YouTube and look at the Unbelievalope YouTube video and post a limerick. Go watch the Unbelievalope video. It has all the details, the review. It has the details about the limerick. But I'm looking for a limerick that I think is the funniest or the cleverest or the best one. And I know that's going to be extremely biased or at least prejudiced. I don't know if that's the right word. But certainly it's going to be based on what tickles me, not what tickles everybody else. So anyway, that contest ends to Saturday night, which is going to be January the 9th at night. So any comments that come in around midnight or so, or maybe a little bit after, I'll let them in. But that's it. And then on Monday next week, or sometime early next week, I'll reveal the winner. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for hanging in there for this one. It's kind of a long one. So it's time for you to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and listen to the random iTunes song of the moment, which is Vanishing by Mariah Carey. When I lived in Connecticut, I was in the military, I had a 5 CD changer, and I owned 5 CDs, and it was Mariah Carey Unplugged, Nirvana Unplugged, Nirvana Nevermind, and Mariah Carey, her first album, just called Mariah Carey, and the fourth one was Timepieces by Eric Clapton. I'm sorry, not Nirvana Unplugged. I didn't have that. I had Clapton Unplugged. So 2 Claptons, 2 Mariah Careys, and 1 Nirvana, and I just played that on random play. And that was when I was first getting into really putting in hardcore practice time in Magic. So I'd order from LA Pizza, get a grinder, which is a hoagie sandwich, and crank up those 5 random CDs. So anytime I hear a song, while I was practicing, so anytime I hear a song from one of those albums, it just takes me back to 20 years ago in Connecticut. Anyway, shut up, Jeff, and move on. Tune in tomorrow, guys. Day 9, where we look at Hands-Free Prediction by Link's Magic. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all then. Peace and out.